Hello everyone, it's the anime here, and today we're doing What If Deku Had the Rinnegan episode 2, but before we get into it, hit that intro. So where we left off in this story is with All Might giving his power to Bakugo after Deku does not want his power. So basically what happens is that Bakugo and Deku train under All Might until the UA entrance exams. It's the same training that Deku does, and basically during this time after the training, Bakugo was able to use 30% instead of 20%, and Deku is just a little bit more, got a little bit more muscle than he did before, and trained his body and trained his abilities a little bit more too. So now we move on to the UA entrance exams, where everything goes up into canon until the UA, the practical exam with the robots. This is, and Deku still meets Uraraka and almost still trips, and Uraraka saves him. So yeah. So once we get to the practical exams, Deku asks Mike if there would be any healers or anything around to heal people if they get hurt. And President Mike says, yes, of course, we have healers that can heal you. And then Mike's like, why would you ask that question? And I was just like, well, Mike Quick's pretty powerful, and I don't want anyone dying. Mike's like, your Quick can't be that powerful. Deku's like, watch. Because Deku has been practicing a move that he's been practicing a mini version of it, so he don't know if it would work, but he calls it Almighty Push, which is basically an enhanced version of all his telekinesis pushing outwards or from his rinnegan to create a massive explosion that sends from he's at across the battlefield, which you probably have seen this in Naruto when Pain does it. So now the entrance exam starts, and immediately he tries to find the center of where he's at, and he floats up using his rinnegan / telekinesis ability that he has with the rinnegan, and says Almighty Push, and suddenly the whole arena just collapses in a huge explosion. President Mike's like, who just did this? Villain? And then Deku is floating down and saying how many robots they kill. He gets 120 points, and only a few people were able to dodge the explosion, such as Bakugo and Uraraka, mostly because Uraraka can float and Bakugo has a powerful enough explosion to push through all debris, but everyone else was laying on the floor. So at this point, everyone that was not down, such as Bakugo and Uraraka, automatically passed, but everyone else had to retake the entrance exam another day because they could not handle, it would be too much to rebuild it, so they had to push it back for a week. But basically, Deku here got all the points, including the 0-point robot, which, yeah. And Eraser is impressed by this because he sees it and he's just like, this kid is powerful. And then President Mike, Deku's leaving President Mike, like, what's your quirk? And Deku, not knowing that it's the rinnegan, but he just thinks it's telekinesis. He says, telekinesis, why? And he's like, how far can your telekinesis go? And Deku's like, that's around the that's around the maximum power my telekinesis could go. / rinnegan. Okay. So now that that's sorted, he knows that he passed because of how many points he got. But yeah. So now he's just waiting for the letter of acceptance, and he gets it in the mail. It's the same thing as All Might was saying. I knew that you could have been way more powerful if I would have gave you my quirk. But this is great. Now, let's hope Bakugo can keep up the speed with that. Otherwise, this might be bad. So, young Midoriya, you are accepted into UA High. Now after this, a month or two passes, and Deku gets ready to go to his first day of school. And when he gets there, everything basically goes to canon. And Eraserhead goes in a sleeping bag and tells everyone to get ready. They're gonna have a test to see how strong the quirk are, and whoever gets last gets expelled. Now everyone's just like, what? But Bakugo and Deku are like, this should be easy enough. So when the ball toss, Deku uses his telekinesis to throw it up all the way into space, giving it infinity like Uraraka. And then Kachan does the same with the explosions being 30% more better. He's able to throw it all the way up into space, get infinity. Uraraka does the same, so now we have 3 people that got infinity on the ball throw. Now in the race, it's a little harder because Deku would not really have that much in speed test yet. So he would be in, not last, but I would say like third to last. I feel like he would win against Mineta and Invisible Girl. I can't remember the name. So yeah. Now, in grip strength, he would use his rinnegan ability to basically manipulate the grip to make it seem like he's gripping it more, but in reality, he's just using his ability to push it together. And he would get the highest score in this, and then Bakugo would get the second highest score. So, yeah. So now that the results are in, Bakugo and Deku are actually tied for first in this case, and the last one would be the Invisible Girl. So now, and then Ozawa announces that it was all just a way to make him try hard, and as he can see, that there's a lot of potential in all of them. He doesn't say that, but he thinks it. Especially Bakugo and Deku, he says it in mind. So now he says, alright, thank you, and you may leave. So now we move on in the next day to All Might's hero training course task. Now, obviously, everything keeps the same. Deku gets paired with Uraraka. And what Deku does this time, since he knows that Kachan is not a force to be reckoned with, he says, alright, I'm going to have to distract Kachan. Otherwise, he's literally just going to tell you to switch. No, just like, not to be mean, but he's on the same level as me, almost. And Uraraka, knowing what he did at the entrance exams, like, alright, so you want me to go get the bomb? And Deku's like, yes. So basically, they meet Kachan / Bakugo the same way they did in the middle, and Deku uses Senra Tensei / to pull him in and basically choke him on the ground. And then Uraraka gets away and goes upstairs, and Deku and Bakugo keep fighting, and it basically continues on and on and on. So the fight continues, and Uraraka goes upstairs. Basically, how it goes in canon, how she gets caught by Ida, and they have a little duel. But meanwhile, downstairs, Deku and Bakugo are still having that fight. When Bakugo tries to rush Deku, Deku says no, and he randomly pulls a black receiver or black rod and stabs Bakugo with it through the arm, effectively draining his energy like it does draining chakra in Naruto, but in this it drains energy and knocking him out cold, leaving Deku able to get to the top floor and help Uraraka. And everyone's stunned. He's just like, I thought his ability was telekinesis. How did he just pull out that rod from thin air? And everyone's just like wondering how. And Deku doesn't know how he did it either, but all knows that he has to get to the top floor before wondering about that. So now that Deku and Uraraka are in the same place, they can think of a strategy. But Deku has an idea. He charges at Ida, and then he pulls the black rod out again from out of nowhere. Ida, stunned by this, and gets stabbed and drains his energy too. And Deku and Uraraka, just like in the canon, finish and win the task. So, yeah. And that's where I'm going to be ending it off today. So, anyways, the anime logging off.